Okay, my fourth graders, last year in third grade, you worked a lot with multiplication. You realized that if you were adding the same number over and over again, 4 and 4 and 4 and 4, you could just use multiplication to add that. You would just multiply 4 groups of 4 and you'd find out that it was 16. And in that unit, you used arrays quite a bit. And I want to revisit arrays for just a moment because we're going to be using that to step forward into open area model, which is going to be really important in fourth grade. So here's a picture of some arrays, and they're set up in columns and rows. The rows are going horizontally, this direction, and the columns are going vertically, up and down. So I bet if I asked you how much was in this example, you could count that there were 3 rows, right? And how many are in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could write this at the bottom or the top. And you would understand that to mean 3 rows of 5, and you would get the answer 15. It's kind of like adding 5 plus 5 plus 5, but why do that when you know 3 times 5 is 15? So let's go ahead and do number 1. First, I find out how many rows there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and I'm going to label that. It's kind of like, and then I'm going to find out how many are in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I could write this at the top or the bottom. I could have written that there's 5 rows on this side. Wouldn't have mattered. I just want to know how many rows I have and how many are in each row. So I'm counting 5 groups of 4. And 5 times 4 is 20, so you would know, and oftentimes we write the amount right in the middle there. So I know. Now, in this example, can you identify the factors and the product? Let's think about what factors mean. Quick review, factors, telling you how many groups you have. Guess which number told you how many groups you had? You have 5 groups. How many are in each group? 4. There's 4 in each group. And what would your total be? 20. So within those 3 numbers that I've circled, you have your factor telling the groups, factor telling how many in a group, and then your product, which tells you the total. So right here, the 5 and the 4 are your factors, and 20 is the product. Okay, how about this one? Number 2, how many rows do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rows, that's one of my factors telling me how many groups I have. And how many are in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 rows with 5 in each row. And the multiplication sentence that goes with that is just 5 times 5. And I bet you already, before I can even finish writing this, I bet you already know the product. 25. Yep. 25. Let me finish writing that. Okay, and again, we're going to write it right here in the middle. So I know, okay, there's 25 stars there. Factor, factor, product. How many groups? How many in a group? Total. Okay, so let's do 2 more examples. Right here, number 3, how many rows do I have? 4. And the rows are right there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's my rows. So obviously I could write it on either side. It wouldn't matter, right? And there's 2 in each row. There's 2 in each row, and I could also say that down here. But I don't need to use all those numbers. All I need to do is know how many rows and how many are in a row. So I could choose either one of these. How many rows do I have? 4. How many in a row? 2. It didn't really matter which side or top or bottom I got the information from. I just needed the data. And so altogether, how many, what are those? Pentagons. How many pentagons are there? There's going to be 8. Factor, factor, product. Okay, so now we're going to take it into the open area model. We should have those pictures in our mind, be able to picture rows and columns, factors and products. But in 4th grade, and you did some of this in 3rd grade as well, we're not going to have to draw the pictures every time. If you saw this, 3 and a 2, I bet you could tell me what the total amount would be in here without having to see all the pictures. 3 rows with 2 in each row. What is 3 rows of 2. What's that answer? Of course, it's 6. So the answer is 6. In the open area model, we just don't see the pictures, but we can use what we know about arrays and how rows and columns are set up nice and organized, same amount in each group. We can use our multiplication to solve that. So be prepared to see open area models. Let's just do a couple more. I'll do them here where I have a blank space. If you saw 5 and 4, sorry. 5 rows with 4 in each row. How many would there be? 20. If you saw, and I try to make the box or the rectangle or the square look kind of like the amounts I have. So if I did 2 rows of 6, I might write it like that because I kind of picture 2 rows with 6, and that's quite a bit in each row. But it doesn't have to match exactly. I'm not really looking so much at the size of the box as I am at the really important data. I want to know my factors, how many groups, how many are in a group. That's the important thing. 2 rows of 6 is going to give me a total of 12. So let's practice a little bit of that. You might have to, it might take you a little while to get back in the hang of it, but that's called the open area model. It's a strategy we use for multiplication because it builds upon what you learned in 3rd grade, which was that area, the arrays, and the way that's organized. So keep that in mind as we do some practice problems coming right up in your next assignment.